A couple of months ago, I talked about Tarkov and how it had an absolutely horrendous hacking situation. 1 in 2 games you joined, there would be someone hacking, floating across the map, and basically doming everyone. Now, Tarkov's been through a lot of controversies. This is the worst one imaginable. The fact that they are charging $250 for a special edition version of the game. Now, this could actually be the final nail in the coffin. Tarkov has gone through a lot of controversies, but as soon as you ask people to pay a ridiculous amount of money and you don't even get like a little statue you get to put in the background. Remember Fallout 76? Remember how everyone ribbed on the special edition of that game being absolutely awful? That at least came with this cool little, you know, T-51 power armor helmet. The Tarkov special edition has none of that.
Hey, it lets me 8 people now.
I like how people are going to click on this video and their only takeaway is going to be, what do you mean there's no statue? There's no statue of a bear. No! Now, Tarkov was developed by Battlestate Games and it came out in late 2016. Tarkov has many aspects. It's got MMO elements, survival elements, even to the point that people are uploading compilations on YouTube of your character eating and opening every kind of food imaginable. But obviously, the crucial point of Tarkov is raids. At the end of the day, it is an extraction shooter. An extraction shooter being you're deployed into an area, you get resources, you get loot, you do an objective, and then you exfil. With the element of permadeath being in play there, if you die, you basically lose all your equipment. That is, unless you insure it, and then you've got a team with you that hides your insured loot, so no one actually steals it. It's a lot of steps. Chances are, if you've got a good gun, you're probably going to lose it. But one thing that made Tarkov special is it would have wipes probably around twice a year. So you would basically have 6 months to absolutely sweat the game out, build the best base, get the best guns, the best loot, only for the saves to be absolutely wiped. Now, I know I'm definitely a minority here. People aren't going to agree with me. But what killed Tarkov for me was the fact that there was no actual constant progression. You could absolutely sweat the game into heaven. But then, obviously, once that wipe was coming, that big wall, you couldn't avoid it. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about playing Tarkov on wipe day because that is absolutely hilarious. Mostly because everyone is on the same skill level as each other. That is, unless you bought the I'm a Super Special Big Boy edition, where you got, you know, like better guns, better equipment, better ammo, which I am incredibly guilty of doing. But I do want to say, I did not buy the 250 edition, okay? I did not buy that one. I bought the cheaper one. The cheaper one that is now completely redundant. Now, I know I've got a lot of backlash in the past for talking about topics I know absolutely nothing about. For example, the Fallout TV show. A lot of people didn't like that because I got 3 points wrong in a 1 hour long video and they would never let me down. But don't worry, with Tarkov, I am a professional.
I gotta check stream because people are roasting me. They're saying that the stream quality is shit.
As in, I played the game for about 40 or so hours and was basically carried and never actually had a single combat encounter in my life because the game made me so stressed and anxious. I thought if I popped my head out of cover, I would get one tap by one of these sweats you see on Twitch with 10 viewers.
You get him? Nice.
Hey guys, we're friendly.
Now, talking a little bit more about the wiping that they do usually around twice a year. A lot of people don't like it, myself included. You feel like you're having all your progression erased. But I understand why they do it, because eventually, like, again, with Tarkov, because you can get so much loot and so many materials, the skill ceiling is almost limitless to the point that if you never had the game get wiped, you would have these... These poor people just buy the game thinking they're going to have, you know, a great experience with the boys, only to get absolutely god sweated by a guy that's put 900 hours into the game and has every single attachment on a single Mossberg shotgun. So in general, the wipes are definitely a necessary evil. Even though I personally don't like them, I do totally understand why they need to be a thing in the game at the minute. I mean, you could make the argument that the sweats are going to know the location of all the good loot, all the good weapons. True. But at that point, all I have to say to you is get good. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I talking about the game being wiped? Why am I not jumping straight into talking about the $250 tier and why everyone's angry about it? Well, that's because Critical already did a video about it. So I feel like I have to add a little bit extra, or the video is basically redundant. Now, every time there's a wipe in Tarkov, like I said, you lose everything. You've got a base where you can clean up, fix the lights, and eventually build a Bitcoin mining machine to get you infinite money for free. Now, all of that gets wiped. You don't keep any of it, or your guns, or your progression. That's all gone. Except, which is what I said earlier, depending on what edition of the game you buy. And that, of course, brings me to the most recent Unheard edition of Tarkov, which is $250, which gives you a PvE mode that kind of should be included in the game anyway, and basically a better starting point. But it is nowhere near worth $250. Now, keep in mind, there have been multiple other editions of Tarkov. The most expensive one before the Unheard of was the Edge of Darkness. Now, I am incredibly gullible. I did buy this edition, but a lot of people at the time and to this day basically still claim that this edition is basically pay to win. Now, this was sold for $150 instead of $250, and it started you off with a fair bit of equipment like bags for loot, armor plating for your chest, weapons, magazines for the weapons, but most importantly, you got a gamma case. The reason why this gamma case is so important and basically game breaking is because in Tarkov, when you die, you lose everything. You take less equipment with you, you're less prepared for a combat encounter, but if you die, you lose less essential stuff. On the other hand, if you go, with like a full Capcan 6 Siege helmet, you get like a ballistic silenced anti-material sniper rifle. If you die, you'll probably be on suicide watch for a week because you've lost like $200,000 worth of equipment. That is, of course, like I said, unless you insure it, but then you're banking on people not finding your body, not looting you, or if you've got a squad of mates to basically hide your stuff for you until the insurance time wears out. Now, the secure gamma case, which you get with the Edge of Darkness edition, if you put anything inside of that case that fits, it's not the biggest space in the world. It's only, I think, 3x3 slots, so 9 in total. Anything put inside that case is basically immune to ever being taken away from you. So if you kill an enemy, get their dog tags, you can put that inside the case. If you need incredibly rare, looting resources, crafting resources, you can also stick that inside of the case. And after that, you can go guns blazing. And if you die for whatever reason, usually, someone 50 kilometers away you didn't even see, Tarkov moment, nothing will happen to the stuff inside that gamma case. And keep in mind as well, there are a lot of secure cases in Tarkov. There is only one single case, the Kappa case, that actually has more space than the gamma case. So by paying this extra $150 for this Edge of Darkness edition, you already have basically end game content at the beginning of every single wipe. I do want to point out as well to all the Tarkov veterans, I know basically any edition of the game you get, eventually you will be able to get your hands either immediately or a little bit later down the road, your very own case to keep all your items in. But keep in mind, the gamma case is without a doubt the second biggest case in the entire game via number of slots. Now, one of the main reasons why people bought Edge of Darkness, apart from being able to just absolutely mog on everyone, which is something I didn't do, by the way, even though I bought that edition of the game, I had the best loadout basically at the start of every wipe. I would basically get domed anyway because I had no idea how ammo types would work. So I would put 20 rounds of a pistol into someone's head and not even get a single hit marker. By the way, there are no hit markers in Tarkov. I just thought that was kind of the joke. One of the main reasons that people bought into Edge of Darkness is because you basically would get the DLC roadmap for free. Well, okay, not for free. We're not saying for free, but at least it'd be included in the package. So maybe overall you'd save a little bit of money if you played Tarkov every single day for the next 5 years. Now, the funny thing is, I've spent a couple of minutes hyping up the Edge of Darkness. I've said it's basically game breaking. You get this great gamma case, you get all these great weapons, this loot. You can't even buy it anymore because when they launched Tarkov Arena, they quietly delisted the Edge of Darkness edition for Tarkov. It's really funny when game companies do this. They quietly remove something that was always available on their store, hoping that no one notices. A good example is Dark Souls, the original Dark Souls that was remastered. A lot of people had problems with the remaster. Unlucky for you. Now you've got to deal with it because now what we're going to do is quietly unlist the original Dark Souls off of Steam so you can't play that anymore. Now, one of the reasons why they probably pulled Edge of Darkness is so you can't just get all of it for free in one single Edge of Darkness package. You'll have to pay for them separately. It is crazy to think that you've had people playing Tarkov for nearly 10 years. They have probably put thousands and thousands of hours into it. And how did the developers say thank you? By making them pay twice.
How is that your attitude towards us, man?
Obviously, one of the things that people have been really excited about for Tarkov is the PvE mode. There's already been a single player Tarkov mod that's existed for a while. The way it works is you get a legitimate copy of Tarkov. I said legitimate. Don't you dare pirate. And basically, you'll download a patcher and some of the files to turn the game into single player. You'll still encounter scabs and, other hostile AI, but you'll never encounter a single actual player. And it's a great way to learn how the game works, learn how combat works. It's a lot more relaxed. And even though Battle State games absolutely despise it and they think it's not part of the game at all because, it technically is a mod, I still think it's very good to have it inclusively. But obviously now they've added a PvE mode with the benefits being you'll actually be able to do it with friends in a co-op experience. experience, and also there will be scaling progression that never ever gets wiped because you're not playing against other people. It really is just players versus environment. I literally just said PvE, but all the words for it. Now, keep in mind, Battle Cope games have actually had an offline co-op mode in the past. There is no way that this is like real PvE Tarkov in any regard. All it basically does is give you the ability to test out new maps and new guns, you know, just before they go into public access. Now, this co-op mode was free for anyone that bought the Edge of Darkness edition, because basically you've invested in the Battlestate Games company at that point, paying that much money. And to everyone else, no matter what other edition you bought, if it wasn't Edge of Darkness, you had to fork over $10. And honestly, at the time, I heard nothing about this, that there was like basically zero to no controversy. Obviously, no one likes paying for a game to then have content locked behind a paywall. That sucks. But it never really seemed to upset anyone entirely. Now, obviously, there is a huge difference between the offline and the PvE modes that they added. In the offline mode, there is nothing to gain. You might as well do your taxes or something, because it's probably a better use of your time. You can't do quests. There's really nothing to gain. But in the new mode, in the new PvE mode, there's a lot more things that you can do. There's actual progression, which is incredibly similar to the free single-player Tarkov mod. Free as in you have to own a copy of the game, but to actually get the mod and patch it yourself, that is all free. Which could be one of the reasons why they actually added this kind of new PvE mode that you have to pay for, almost because the single-player Tarkov mode was getting a lot of downloads. Obviously, as well, it's co-op, you can play it with your friends, and most importantly, there are no wipes. I think one of the main reasons why people moved away from Tarkov and a lot of people started to download the single player mod is because apart from the cheaters and the hackers, there are no wipes anymore. So any progression you make is final. Now, this sounds all well and good, so why am I making a video crying about it? Because the Edge of Darkness edition does not cover this new PvE mode. So you've basically forked over $150 to a video game company, only to realize, all right, mate, we're going to give you a gamma case. We'll give you a little MP5K. There you go. Yeah, that's it. You want more? Yeah, you have to pay for it. $250. Now, a lot of the Tarkov player base that could speak English, so about 7 people, were very, very angry about this, to the point that, of course, they did what any video game community does. They take to the Discord and they take to the Reddit. Now, Battlestate Games, they didn't even pull like a YouTuber apology, not even a I'm sorry you feel that way. They just straight up said, yeah, unlucky, cope. PvE mode is a unique feature which is available only for the owners of the Unheard edition. We will keep you updated on new features exclusive for EOD owners. Hashtag escape from Tarkov. It's the fact that they just had to put the worst statement out ever, and then they put the hashtag in for engagement. I also like as well that hint that, oh yeah, if you bought Edge of Darkness, don't worry, we got some stuff for you. Maybe we throw in an extra pistol magazine in the next update. One thing I've noticed time and time again with situations like this, mostly thanks to Discord, whenever a company, a game company, puts out like a big sweeping statement, the employees, the people working at the company, they start to get very, very bitter, very, very angry with the amount of hatred their company's getting, and they accidentally start to spill the beans. And that is exactly what happened here. So there was this reply here from a Battlestate Games community manager on Discord who basically said that PvE isn't a DLC. Oh my god, cope. So apparently, instead of it being a DLC, it is a new feature. And because it's a new feature, not downloadable content, it deserves its own new edition. Now, DLC literally means downloadable content. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to like HMV or to like Costco and saying, oh, can I get the new state of Tarkov, please? You are downloading extra content for a base game. Therefore, it is downloadable content. I really do like they chalked it up as a feature. That just has to be the ultimate cope. It ain't DLC. It's unique feature of the new edition added. Holy ESL. Now, we are reaching critical levels because no one liked that response either. And the people working at Battlestate Games, they just weren't even trying to hide their contempt anymore. You might remember a couple of years ago, Internet Historian did a video on Fallout 76. And in that video, he basically went into detail on there was, you know, special additions to the game and there were scams. They were terribly made. And Bethesda got so much backlash that the emails that they were being sent, they weren't even trying to hide how angry they were. And this is exactly what is now happening with Battlestate Games, because if you go onto their Twitter, they are pulling out the most snide tweets imaginable. So here we have a tweet of Arena Breakout Infinite, which is another extraction shooter. Now, obviously, you know, extraction shooters, first-person shooters, military shooters, the market is incredibly crowded, incredibly saturated. What you're usually meant to do if you see competition is, you know, just do better than them. Observe them, see what they do, and try to improve on that. No, because you had someone on BSG that obviously had way too much vodka, and he basically sat there on Twitter saying, have a nice 20-minute adventure in the blatant plagiarist game game. In and out. Blatant plagiarist game. Like, you could tell he sat on that tweet for about an hour. Now, to be fair, if you compare the looks of Arena Breakout and Tarkov, they do look kind of similar. And also, you know, more fun studios that made Breakout, they do have a bit of a shady past. I mean, they're basically a subsidiary of Tencent Games, but it's like, I don't care. I genuinely don't care. I just think it's so funny that they're already in controversy for charging $250, and they're that tilted that they basically just had like an impromptu therapy session and vented out all their aggression onto another game company. Blatant. It's so dry, man. He was angry when he typed that. It really does feel like this company was like baiting Tarkov, and unfortunately they took the bait. No danger here. I'm actually looking on Reddit right now as well, and you can see people that are saying, as a former Tarkov player who has never heard of this game, they've actually ended up wishlisting it. So again, it's like the worst thing you can do in this situation is give attention. Now, at this point, everyone hated Battlestate Games. They thought that they were basically crybabies. At the slightest bit of criticism, they would have a complete mental breakdown, and as well, $250 for a special edition after people already paid $150. So this led them to basically quickly scramble and deploy troops to the subreddit. And they basically said to anyone that bought the Edge of Darkness edition, they've got a surprise for you. And that is that you could get 6 months of PvE as well as some extra little goodies. So by the look of it here, it seems that you get some more cosmetics and basically some more mystery pay to win stuff. You know, things that you probably should have already had in the first place, but they were probably just hiding it in Santa's sack in the corner of the room, labeled emergency, just in case like they were to ever get in any kind of controversy. Now, remember when I said earlier on that people that got the Edge of Darkness edition, the entire reason why you were paying so much money was to be able to get all the DLCs for free? They've removed that. They have now scrubbed the mention of getting all their DLCs from their description. And what they've actually done is they haven't just removed it, sorry, they cut it out and then they pasted it underneath the Unheard of edition. So what they've basically done is promise people $150, myself included, to get all the DLC of the game, and then they've gone, oh, wait, $150? No, that sucks. Let's put it on $250. That's way better. Now we're gonna get our money's worth. Surely no one will ever notice. I mean, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me that in another 2 years they're gonna release like the Death edition. So we've had Edge of Darkness, we've had Unheard, and the next edition will be the Hell and Keller edition, and that will be $350. And they'll probably do the same thing where they cut out the mention of getting all future DLC and just stick it under that one. So we actually have an entire list here. The update regarding the Edge of Darkness edition. I'm sure his little Reddit's new avatar there purposely has a helmet on to protect his identity from any kind of backlash. Hello, Tarkov citizens. To honor the owners of the Edge of Darkness version and their indelible importance. Wow, I said that right. I've never heard that word in my life and I said it right. I'm actually a genius. What does indelible mean? The ink of a pen, not able to be forgotten. I'm guessing it's the second one. Indelible importance and role in the Escape from Tarkov universe. We plan to add the following new unique features to every Edge of Darkness edition. Faster return of insured items. I mean, that is literally just pay to win. Like, the 4 people watching this video that have not played Escape from Tarkov, why are you here? But, you know, to explain the insured items thing, obviously, when you have something insured, like I've said multiple times throughout this video, if someone loots your body, if they loot the items, it's gone forever. But there is a specific window between the items being robbed and being returned to you. So basically, if you have the Edge of Darkness edition, you're going to have a shorter window in between the chances of your items being stolen and returned to your player base. Like, that literally screams pay to win. Increased personal trader buying limits by 20%, so you can just literally spend more money. This is really bad. I do not like this. Increased basic PMC karma when it will be implemented. The PMC karma isn't a thing right now, but obviously, you know, if you're playing as a PMC, if you attack other PMCs, you kind of get like a rating. Okay, the only comparison I can make, you know, in 6 Siege, they've got that like that valor or that honor system, the little purple badge, and it's like, oh, you're dishonorable because you keep saying slurs, or you're admirable because you only team killed 5 people this game. I'm assuming it's going to work similar to that. Access to unique hideout craft, which again pays to win. Increased basic charisma skill. I'm guessing that's going to be some kind of skill check or something. I'm just imagining Fallout charisma right now, which I should not be imagining in Tarkov. Special quest line with increased pocket side as reward. Ability to skip 2 daily quests per day free of charge. Unique dog tag, unique armband. I think the unique armband is actually the worst thing I've ever seen. If any of you have played Tarkov, you know that the armbands are some of the most useless things imaginable. Like, if you wear a red one, you are going to get shot. Unique set of clothing, unique legacy device, high priority matching for Edge of Darkness owners for 6 months. Access to offline PvE for Edge of Darkness owners for 6 months. Now, that high priority matchmaking, does that mean that we're just going to be put with other rich people? Or does that mean like we just get overall server priority? Because either way, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Either they're trying to usher everyone that has the better equipment into the same lobbies, or the people that have the better equipment are basically going to get into games faster than the poor people. I do like how I'm saying poor people, by the way. Like, if you're not forking over $150 for a single video game, you're now poor. Now, at the minute, the subreddit has fell into complete disarray. Like, for example, this guy here who basically posted that he tried to actually refund Escape from Tarkov, and his refund was basically straight up denied. We are happy to inform you that after the latest apology from Battlestate Games, the PvE access will be provided to all Edge of Darkness holders. Please note, your previous purchase is not eligible for a refund per Zola refund policy, as the goods have been delivered to your account and the game's access has been granted. You may continue your communication with the game developer if you believe you are eligible for an exemption from this refund policy. Thank you. I like how their cope is, as soon as you download the game and like play it for 1 second, you are never allowed to get a refund ever again. I mean, I do understand refund policies to an extent. I mean, Steam, for example, I think that's pretty good. I think you can play the game for like 2 hours or something before refunding it. Every time I've refunded a game on Steam, it has always gone through. I know that isn't the case for everyone, but you know, if they turned around and said, actually, Sonny, you've got 10k hours in Tarkov and only now you want a refund? No, I don't think you will. But that is not what they're saying in that email. Now, to do a bigger comparison of the Unheard of edition and the Edge of Darkness edition, overall, you are getting more things. But again, this is $250 compared to $150. You are basically being scammed either way, but overall, you are given more content and more of a window to get equipment in the Unheard of edition. But again, it's not like you can buy the Edge of Darkness edition now if you even wanted to. Your stash is expanded by quite a lot, even more than Edge of Darkness. There's now longer insurance holding times, which is what I talked about between your equipment being lost on the battlefield and then being returned to your inventory. And you get a unique knife, which is, okay. I mean, who uses a knife in Tarkov apart from like, you know, compilations you see posted on Reddit? Also, some people pointed out that this knife looks pretty similar to a knife from the Unity asset store, as if like implying that Battlestate Games just bought the knife and basically flipped it on the market. Now, obviously, some of the more game-breaking stuff is you get a lot bigger pockets, you get more inventory space, which could really make or break Tarkov runs. You also get very valuable containers at the start of each wipe, so you can basically just sell these containers as soon as any wipe starts to get a boatload of money to use on the market to get a bigger head start than everyone else. Now, you also get a weird item in the Unheard of edition called the Mark of the Unheard. Now, this is an item that gives you various buffs, like, for example, you know, discounting paid extracts. And this is actually something that you pay with in-game money, not, you know, actual microtransactions. Because obviously the way Tarkov works, you need to extract, right? It's an extraction shooter, but a lot of these exfil zones actually close as the game goes on, to the point that if you want to get one close to you or convenient, you basically have to pay for it. Again, with in-game money, not microtransactions. You don't have to open up your phone and PayPal them $5 to, you know, open up a manhole for you. Battlestate Games are bad, but they're not that bad. Not yet, anyway. Now, this bonus edition of the game already grants you extra rep with traders, so it's even easier to max out your reputation with them. Also, scavs, the little random NPCs you'll see like running around the map, like pretending to be people, they actually won't shoot you for around like the first 60 meters or so. So this is an addition that directly affects combat and how you play the game. And I know I've said the whole pay to win meme, like, oh, you're paying more money, you're gonna win. But this, like, the stuff I'm explaining now, like not being shot at for over 60 meters, getting better trading advantages, this literally is a straight up combat advantage. Now, the last important detail of this special edition is something called the distress signal device. Now, originally upon hearing the name of this, I thought it was like the Helldivers SOS device. I'm sure we've all been in this situation in Helldivers before. It's late at night, maybe the boys are offline, you do a random queued game. You go onto a Helldivers difficulty world because you think, I got this. I got the Kaiser cannon, cannon, I don't know how you say it. They've recently buffed the railgun again. I'm fine. And then you slowly realize that you've jumped into an escort mission. Everyone around you is dying. Everyone quickly DCs back to the menu because it's better to actually cut your losses than stick around for another 10 minutes to get a whopping 0 XP. So you look in your commands and you see that little SOS beacon. You call it down, waiting for reinforcements. Nothing happens. And then you die anyway and get 0 XP. Now, the distress signal device in Tarkov actually works in a very similar way. It's equipment you have at your hideout, but what you can use it for is to basically get friends to join you mid-game, which has never been done before. Like, anytime you would set up a game on Tarkov, you'd obviously add people's Battlestate game names. If they bought the special edition, they'd have the little crown next to their name, which, you know, is like, oh, I'm special. I paid $150 $250 because I'm a loser. Which is myself included, by the way. That was self-deprecating. Because before this feature, once a raid started in Tarkov, it would be impossible for any PMC to join you mid-game. So I want you to imagine this scenario. Imagine you have forked over $250 of Daddy's trust fund money to buy the Unheard of edition of Tarkov. And you realize very quickly, you're trash at the game. Everyone's bodying you. You're completely on your own. So what do? You use that special distress signal device thing. You plant it down on the ground in your base, and then you call up to the skies and wait for people to come and save your ass and absolutely clutch. And you're able to do that. You are basically the equivalent of Jack Doherty getting his bodyguards to tell people to leave him alone for $250. That's probably how much Jack pays those bodyguards. That is the same thing. You're basically paying for bodyguards and no one else can afford it. Okay, I know I'm ribbing on Battlestate Games a lot, but that's kind of funny. Now, another thing to talk about as well that this edition completely changes is the flea market. If you didn't know the flea market, it's basically where you sell items on the market to other players. It's kind of like trading on the, CSGO marketplace, but instead of being scammed, you only get a little bit scammed. Now, originally, after every wipe in Tarkov, you only get 2 slots on the flea market. You can't sell absolutely everything because then you could basically just break the game instantly. So you can only list 2 items at a time to be sold on the market. Now, gaining more slots takes a while. You basically have to sell a lot of items on the flea market to even get like an additional slot. And in earlier builds of Tarkov, there were actually more than 2 slots available, but then they kind of realized no, because everyone is jumping onto the flea market and metagaming it and basically breaking the economy overnight. So we're going to stop that now. You only get 2 slots. When I'm talking about the economy, by the way, I mean the actual real economy, because what people would do on the flea market is sell valuable in-game items for real world money. There was actually a huge lucrative side hustle on Tarkov with people like selling items for real world money. And obviously real life money brings out all the degenerates, for example, the cheaters. That is why Tarkov has a huge cheating syndicate, because you can make real money off this game. Now, the reason why I'm worried this is going to be so broken is you already have a service to basically call in someone to God defend you if you feel like you're not doing that great. Imagine the complications that could come from this. For example, if you feel like you're getting bodied, oh, I can get my alt account on, I can get my alt PC on, or I get my mate on who's a cheater. They can then be invited into the game and basically just start killing everyone, because Tarkov to this day still has a huge cheating population, and Battlestate Games don't seem to be curbing it at all. I know I am conjuring up the worst possible scenarios, and I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just saying that it's a possibility that it could happen. Also, my name is literally pyrocynical. Like the second word is not a very nice word. But another example is, right to manage. Like, you could have a cheater on an account, load up into Tarkov, zip around the map, picking the entire map clean. Because keep in mind, when items are looted in a certain area, they stay looted. It's server side. So if you take a gun or something worth a lot of value, no one else is going to be able to get that item until the map reloads sometime later. So you can get a cheater come in, pick it clean, and then basically call in their customer and give them all the items. So obviously you have the flea market curbed on purpose to stop mass trading. But again, with this like distress call service, you could easily call someone in to pick everything for you and then just drop it all in a rucksack, being like, here you go, buddy. And you've basically circumvented the entire flea market cap. And I think the worst thing about it is as well, it has been known, especially in Escape from Tarkov, cheaters will always buy the most expensive edition of the game because they know that they'll make the most amount of money back through the RTM. So in a very long-winded explanation, I have basically just said that if you don't buy the $250 edition of the game, you are the one being punished, because anyone else can actually find a workaround for the flea market cap. I am not one of these people, but this has led a lot of people to basically accuse Battlestate Games of like allowing this cheating, allowing all this like, back-end flea market trading, because it probably does make them some money on the side as well. So it's almost like they're trying to capitalize on a cheater cash flow. But again, I am not saying that. I am not accusing that. That is just like game theories I've seen people say on Plebit. Now, Battlestate Games, they're in a bit of hot water at the minute. I'm sure you've seen. You've probably seen a couple critical videos where he read articles, and I wish I could do the same thing, but that is not the meta anymore. But it recently came out that the head of Battlestate Games, Nikita, had an interview of his that was leaked, and he was saying some pretty out of touch things. Like his interview, for example, unironically containing the words, and I quote, "Understanding who the true believers are."
sorry, kid. Only true believers alone.
So I'm assuming the true believers are the people that fork over the most amount of money. Now, people on the Tarkov Discord, the mods, have confirmed that the interview is 100% real. This isn't some, bad faith actor going around to make Nikita or to make Battlestate Games look like bad people. They're doing a very good job of that on their own. But that being said, this interview hasn't actually been released publicly yet. This is apparently a leak. So even though people have confirmed it to be true, we can't 100% say it's true. So I got the interviews here. I'll just read it. Suggestion: make statement. Knowing that admitting a mistake was made is hard. I'll do it like a funny Russian accent. Mistake? This is not mistake. Why? It's time. Start preparing for the release. It's time to understand who are the true believers. No one forcing to do anything. It's your choice to just bail. Don't buy. It's quite understandable that any company wants to have more revenue. Wouldn't it be better to release a support pack while being more honest with the community? We are honest with the community. We are not forcing anyone. I would ask if there's some kind of money issue for Escape from Tarkov. Should we be worried about the full release? Everything is fine and going as planned. Yep, that's why we bumped up our $150 edition to $250 edition and actually took features away from the cheaper one. I can't believe I just said $150 edition and then said cheaper one, because that is technically the truth. Do you plan on addressing the community again anytime soon? Your post on Reddit unfortunately wasn't received well by a majority of the community. They still feel like they're waiting for the right response. They wanting to be as they want and feel. Are there any other solutions being contemplated since the reception to the Reddit thread was not good? No. Is there any plan to back out or try to put water on that fire, aside from the Edge of Darkness features mentioned on Reddit? No. We are continue working hard, preparing updates for everyone. No more harsh changes. It is important moment in the history of Escape from Tarkov, but I feel that it's not what is needed, I believe. Will there be mew? Did you say mew? Guys, will there be mewing in Escape from Tarkov? Will there be mewing? They are PvP and PvE, as well as new EOD item. Here we get a bit more info on how the most controversial features will work, namely, summoning teammates, any limitations to prevent abuse, scavs not shooting players with high karma. Will those only be available for PvE, or are they still being worked on? It's being worked on, and Friends Summoner will be available to get for other editions too. I've been talking to some of the PT players from different communities, and the opinions, feelings are basically the same. Those who have the Edge of Darkness version are disappointed with all of this. In the discords that I have, which I publish the news, there was always someone playing Tarkov. These discords are completely empty. The small PT streamers we have, there were always 2 or 3 streaming the game. No one is streaming Tarkov. There was a bomb in this community, a relation to Nikita's post on Reddit. Players who have Edge of Darkness don't want to have priority over other players finding a match. They think this is pulling throw sand to the eyes of the community, trying to solve the problem after it's done. Many of them are saying that this new version from 40 euros to 60 would be acceptable. Like this, it's too expensive. SPT, many of them watched Clean playing SPT yesterday, and many of them watched Eruptic doing the same today. Let them change the side. Thanks for answering so many questions for us. We are also passionate about the game, and when the community outrages, we feel it's well since we're representatives of our community. I would love for us to help craft clear communication in the future if possible, and be more involved in getting ahead of any potential drama or outrage. I feel you, but I am the most confident right now as ever. Stay strong. I'm reaching out to discuss the pricing of PvE content, which might be high for newcomers. Wouldn't introducing more accessible options that could mitigate this barrier and prevent new players from, seeking alternatives like SPT? Regarding the monetization strategy, many long-standing supporters, myself included, are actually prepared to contribute more financially to support the company. However, I'm curious about BSG's BM in pursuing this new addition amidst potential challenges. Wouldn't focusing on creating cosmetic skins and non-gameplay altering expansions be a simpler, lower risk strategy in terms of community engagement? We will think about it. Is that it? Like, he literally got like a Bible as a question and he's like, by chance. So I could go through all of these questions that he's been given allegedly, but pretty much every single question he's given, he just goes like, yes, no, maybe. That's pretty much it. His answers are just so dry for pretty much everything. I do like when he's talked about why he removed the Edge of Darkness, though. One of the most discussed subject regarding the whole situation is the removal of the DLC line on the Edge of Darkness edition on the website. What? Now, the confirmation that this interview is totally legit, bro, and I swear I didn't just make it up on ChatGPT, is someone posting it on Reddit, like I said earlier, and one of the mods basically confirming it. Good sir, I am one of the official EFT moderators. Many of us are displeased with what has transpired today. We are even more displeased with an interview that Nikita just did that has not been shared with the public. This interview is going to be altered before it is supplied to the public. I would like to provide the unabridged version to the public. Interview from earlier today with Nikita and Emmy, not yet public. Now, with all of this leaked, it's still not confirmed to be real. This could just be, you know, some salty mods, some salty admin trying to do as much damage as possible. Unfortunately, Nikita heavily hinted that this could be a real interview because he had an absolute meltdown on Reddit. And he basically just reiterated the theory that the PvE mode where you get to play the game with all your friends and, you know, the progression never resets, that is not a DLC. It's a feature. So Edge of Darkness players should not be getting it. But again, there's so many ways around this. Like, for example, why not make PvE peer-to-peer? You know, if they're going to cope, for example, about, I don't know, server space, you really don't need the same connection with a group of friends compared to massive games with, you know, a dozen or so players. Hello again. Let me clarify the situation in a little more detail regarding the owners of Edge of Darkness version and access to the cooperative mode, and also other issues. First of all, PvE game mode is not DLC. DLC, in our understanding, is the major additions to the game, including various functionality and content that are released after the official release of the game as a themed DLC pack. For example, the Scav Life DLC, which will add a lot of new mechanics and content for Scav gameplay and leveling. One thing I don't like the way they worded that, they almost said as if, like, if there's a new, like, a bug patch or they, you know, fix something that's broken, that's almost like it's DLC. Secondly, the specific functionality of the PvE mode is necessarily located entirely on a separate network infrastructure, because essentially you play on our servers, only in closed mode. At this stage, it's not possible to launch all players who are EOD holders right now. We simply don't have the required amount of resources for this. So they've already moved the goalpost. They coped and said it's not DLC, it's a feature, but they're now basically saying they don't have enough money to do it. So they basically need to charge people for a feature that they want because they don't have the server space. Now you have the opportunity to test this mode by purchasing the Unheard edition of the game or upgrade to this version. We've also decided to give a 50% discount when upgrading to the Unheard version from the Edge of Darkness edition. We plan to send one free Left Behind edition key to everyone who is already upgraded to the Unheard edition at the old price of the Edge of Darkness edition. Moreover, so that any player of any version of the EFT can have the opportunity to test the PvE mode, we want to add the ability to purchase a separate early access for this mode. For Edge of Darkness, there will be a 70% discount on the purchase. It'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on this idea. The fact you still have to pay regardless and they just add a discount, that's even worse than not adding a discount. Next, regarding special items for the Unheard version, we plan to make restrictive or balancing changes for these items. For now, this is it. Please share your thoughts. Thank you. Now, there was a really interesting post that came up on Reddit a couple hours after this official post went out. And it says, players who upgraded after the price decrease for the Edge of Darkness owners fell right into Nikita's chasm of tricks. BSG highballed us, waited for the whales to upgrade for $100. Whales obviously being the people that spend an insane amount of money. I think whales basically pay for 99% of the economy in most online games because it's these people like you know, YouTubers, like Saudi oil princes, people that just play video games all day and they have way too much money, so they will just sink insane amounts. Realized that most of the player base isn't going to give a dime, so they decreased the upgrade price to $50 to make themselves seem like they're really giving in, which is not worth it at all still. Keep in mind, non-Edge of Darkness still has to pay the original price. New players have to give $110 or splurge $250 before tax for the Gamma container. There's another game as well, Grey Zone Warfare, and you can see here that they basically have like a similar pricing system as well. Like an extra $20 basically gets you, you know, more items, a better secure lockbox. It basically is the exact same system. Obviously, whenever you buy a special edition of the game, if you're fortunate enough to have the money to do so, you feel better because you've got items that other players don't have. But in games like Tarkov, FOMO, the feeling of missing out, that's not even on the books, because if you buy the better edition of a game, you are ultimately going to have a better advantage than players that didn't. I mean, most special editions of a game, it's like, oh, you get a skin on your gun. Now your gun's gold. Now your gun talks to you. Wow, that's so cool. That's it. You're never given a combat advantage. I mean, a good example is Fortnite. You know, like the fat chicken that Peter Griffin keeps fighting. They added that as a skin that you can buy. That just hinders you. It has a bigger hitbox than most other player models. I have no idea why I bought Fortnite into this, honestly. I have not touched that game in like 3 years. The problem is with Tarkov, it isn't a AAA game, and it's been relying on, you know, the grace of fans for quite a while now to basically, you know, support the game, to fund the game with all these special editions. I do not know any other other game that could pull like an Edge of Darkness to give you the secure container and you know, better items. And like the fact that people love Tarkov so much, they were basically willing to look the other way. I mean, originally you did have people like cry about it, saying it was a really bad idea, and then they were just labeled up as poor people. But it really does seem now that BSG is trying to, you know, greedily capitalize on the goodwill of their player base, and they're going to destroy their community. I have never seen a worse backlash for a video game, maybe since, I don't know, Halo died. Now, there has been yet another Playbit post from Nikita. Now, he seems to have taken all the criticism here and basically just completely folded. This was actually like while I was recording the video, so it's a fresh update. It's hot off the presses. Greetings. Let me continue my feedback for the current situation. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm very sorry to the fans and the game community in general are experiencing these feelings. So he opened up straight away with the YouTuber apology.
Corrupt company. A greedy company.
He is not sorry, but he's sorry that you feel that way. Unfortunately, I somehow did not foresee the fact that such a reaction, and now I have drawn conclusions for my future decisions. I will now briefly summarize the main points. About PvE access, we decided to open it just for EOD owners for free, but we'll do it in waves. As I said before, we don't have the server capacity right now. We will start this process as soon as possible. That's pretty good. So now the poor people can play with the rich people. That's good. We also decided that we will add mod support for PvE modes after release of the game. Now, for a game to say that they're doing mod support, that is a great way to get like any Redditor to support you. I mean, for example, like Bethesda games. Bethesda, I think, is one of the few game companies that basically knows that they launch a broken game, waiting for people to jump on it and basically fix it for them. I mean, a good example is Fallout 4, right? I know Fallout 4 got a huge overhaul update recently that basically did nothing and broke every single mod. I actually tried to launch Fallout 4 recently. I did that long ass intro, you know, walking around your house. Oh, look, the baby. Wow, it's our child. You talk to your wife.
Listen, after breakfast, I was thinking we could head to the park for a bit.
Shut up, woman. And then you leave the house to run to the vault. Game crashed. I'm not doing that whole intro again. I tried. I've not played Fallout in 5 years. That was the first and last time I'm going to try Fallout 4. About the Unheard edition, we will not remove it. We want to keep the option for those who want to support the game more. Okay, bit of a cope. You want to keep it around because it gives you more money. But, you know, you're half admitting it there. But we will balance items, perks in this edition, as well as we will provide more rewards for those who upgraded with the old price. New Edge of Darkness perks will be balanced too. We will remove prioritized matching options to keep everyone in the same spot. I like that. I really like that because I thought that was really stupid that you're basically people that have an edition that you can't even buy anymore are getting special treatment. That doesn't make any sense. And we will add more unique stuff to highlight the Edge of Darkness version in general. We will provide the final list on a new EOD perks ASAP. We will continue to work on patches, new content, events, and game release itself no matter what. Thank you for your time, love, and hate, and thank you for your increased attention to the current situation, Nick. So they're basically giving people that have Edge of Darkness free PvP access because originally it was like you get 70% off, which just felt like a little, not a slap on the wrist, more like a spit in your face. And obviously as well on top of that, which is much more important, they're balancing just the flat out broken pay to win of the new edition. So I can safely say, after waffling for over 50 minutes of Escape from Tarkov, Tarkov's sisters, we are so back. Now, are they ever going to regain the full trust of the player base? Absolutely not. Unfortunately, once you've burnt a bridge this bad and you've been so stingy and frugal and basically trying to scam the player base of their money and giving people that paid more money just straight up combat advantages and ways to break the market, no, you're not. But I feel that this is the best response they could have came with. I think personally, the reason why Nick did these, you know, follow-up Reddit posts so quickly is because that interview could have been legit and it could have been really damning. So this is where I meant to end the video and say, you know, we loved, we laughed, we lost, Battle State Games, you were naughty, but now you're seeing the error of your ways. Oh, you love your $250, don't you? And that's when I'd end the video. But now they've got into an even worse situation because a Tarkov Esports organization basically came out criticizing Battle State Games' behavior, even saying that it's been happening to them for a long time now. We have produced over 200 Tarkov shows, but if you've wondered why we haven't been as active as we once were, it's because we will not be railroaded into doing events that we don't believe in. What happened to the Tarkov community over the past week is what's happening to us for the last 2 years dealing with BSG. Promises not kept, gaslighting, event cancellations, control issues, blatant nepotism, all while wasting our time, money, and efforts. This year, we found out how terribly they've been treating these smaller event organizations as well. Now, this treatment is spread to the player base. We've held back sharing this information, but seeming how the community was treated as a whole recently was too much. We will not create Tarkov events until we see that things truly change. Now, this is a very very common situation whenever like an entity or an individual gets involved in drama. You do have a lot of people dogpiling me like, oh, I didn't like this person as well. I told you all, I warned you all. But this does seem to be fairly legitimate, to the point that Battlestate Games, the creators of Tarkov, got that salty with the post that they actually kicked Evasion GG's organization out of the ring. So the owner of Evasion GG, the account is called Sigma. Really just unreadable name in modern times. Absolutely unreadable name. Sigma was... what the Sigma? Sigma was removed as a Tarkov emissary, and in the process probably said to Battlestate Games, what the Sigma? Woke up this morning to being booted from Tarkov emissary channels and Telegram. No direct messages, though I'm not surprised. I was aware of the risk I took speaking up about how Evasion GG has been treated. Cheers to 2 years as a Sherpa, and then almost 4 years as an emissary. It was my honor to help those learn the game, report issues, test arena, and bring on multiple other Sherpas and emissaries. I hope none of them are ever put in the position I was. Nothing but love for those truly trying to help the community, not just help themselves. Now, this is kind of funny because, you know, like they were so apologetic with their Reddit posts about that interview being leaked that they're like, oh, we're gonna make everything free now, we're gonna make everything free. But then another org came out about them basically saying how, yeah, these guys suck, they've sucked for quite a while. Banhammered from the Discord server, you're gone. Sigma was even kicked from the Telegram chats as well. I'll be honest, I do not know what Telegram is. I just hear it's a messaging service that deletes your messages. I just hear that Russian people and furries use it. But that is pretty much the whole Tarkov controversy wrapped up. Could you have watched 2 critical videos explaining everything in a much more condensed way? Probably. Why didn't you do that? Why are you still here? Go away.